So, what if I told you that for a lot of people, prayer just isn't working because they're looking at it all wrong? What if it's not about begging a distant king, but about exercising your legal authority in a kind of cosmic courtroom? Today, we're diving into a book that completely reframes prayer, not as a simple plea, but as a powerful legislative act that can literally shape your reality. Hey, welcome back to Atomic Reviews. This is the place where we turn big ideas from books into practical, actionable insights for your life. The book we're breaking down today is Why Do I Pray? By Reverend Gaddiel Nana Pesseh, and its central idea is a game changer. Prayer isn't about begging, it's about legislating. And this quote right here, this is the heart of the entire book. It's a total paradigm shift. The idea that prayer isn't some chore you have to get through, but a royal privilege. It's not an act of weakness, but an exercise of your God-given authority.
To really get our heads around this, we're going to walk through the book's framework. We'll look at your legal position, what your purpose is, the kind of power you can access, how to actually apply it, and finally, how it all comes together to secure your future.
Okay, first things first. The book argues that prayer operates within a legal system, and any legal action really depends on two critical things: who you are and where you are.
So the very first question the book asks is, who are you when you pray? And you can see here the contrast is pretty sharp. Are you coming with a slave mentality, begging for help from a position of weakness, or are you operating with a son's authority? The author makes it clear that believers are part of a royal family, which means they don't have to beg. They can approach God with the legal rights of a son or a daughter. Understanding this identity shift is the foundation for absolutely everything else.
Next up is the where. The book says your location, the fact that you're on earth, is precisely why you have to pray. The author calls this the lease concept. Think of it like this. Earth was legally leased to humanity. So for God to intervene in the affairs of this planet, he legally requires an invitation from someone who has jurisdiction here. And guess what? That invitation is your prayer. So here's the crucial takeaway from all that. Your prayer isn't just sending a wish out into the universe. It's a legal license. It's what grants heaven the official permission to operate in your life, in your family, in your city. Without that license, the book suggests, heaven's ability to intervene in your specific territory is seriously limited.
Okay, so if we have this legal position and this jurisdiction here on Earth, the next question is pretty obvious. Why? What's the point? What is our purpose? Why were we given this authority in the first place?
Well, the book's answer is incredibly direct. Your purpose is to rule. It argues that humanity was created to have dominion, to manage and govern the earth. And prayer, in this framework, is not some passive, quiet time activity. Nope. It's the primary instrument of that governance. It's how you actively exercise your authority. And this isn't just a nice idea. The book frames it as a direct command. When God says, "Call on me," it's not a casual suggestion. It's the very foundation of a partnership. He actually wants and expects us to engage with him to get his will done on earth. In a way, he's waiting for our invitation to come and act.
All right, so we've got our position at our purpose. But to fulfill that kind of purpose, you're going to need power, right? This is where prayer becomes the master key that unlocks some incredible divine resources.
The first resource is all about relationship. The book really stresses that prayer is communion. It's where you build your spiritual identity. And out of that relationship flows what the author calls the anointing, which is basically divine empowerment for your specific assignment in life. It's in prayer that you get fueled up for your purpose. But this empowerment isn't just some vague feeling. As this verse from Jeremiah suggests, that deep relationship unlocks a second, absolutely critical resource: divine strategy. It's about getting answers you didn't even know you needed. And this slide really nails that strategic advantage. The book calls it downloading deep divine intelligence. Just imagine facing a complex business problem, a family crisis, or a personal dilemma, and having a direct line to receive heavenly solutions and wisdom that you couldn't get anywhere else. That is the kind of power we're talking about here. So far, we focused on building up and accessing power. But prayer also has a really powerful defensive and offensive application. It's how we engage in spiritual warfare and literally shape the environment around us.
And that's a crucial question, isn't it? Because let's be real. Once you start walking in your purpose, you are going to face opposition. It's inevitable. So how does prayer actually function in those moments?
The book uses some very specific language for this opposition, calling them spiritual heathen kings and rulers. The idea here is that there are unseen forces actively working against God's plan for your life, and just recognizing that this opposition exists is the first step to overcoming it. And here's the solution.
Prayer becomes a legislative decree. You aren't just asking for help. You are legally declaring the established will of God over your situation. And according to the book, this act of declaration has real legislative power to shift the spiritual atmosphere around you, changing it from hostile to favorable.
This brings us to the final, and maybe the most exciting dimension of prayer that the book talks about, its role in proactively accessing and securing your divine destiny.
You've probably heard this famous verse before, and it points to a powerful truth, that there's a pre-designed, good plan for your life, an expected end filled with peace and hope. But you know, it's one thing to know a plan exists. The big question is, how do you actually get access to it?
Well, the book lays out a really clear path. It often starts with a vision or a dream. But to get from that big picture vision to your day-to-day reality, prayer is the vehicle. It's through prayer that you access the specific details of that divine plan, gaining the clarity and the strategy you need to walk it out and fulfill your destiny.
So, to kind of wrap up this powerful framework from Why Do I Pray, prayer functions in 5 absolutely critical ways. It's a legal license for heaven to intervene. It's a dominion tool to exercise your authority. It's an empowerment resource for your assignment. It's a warfare weapon to overcome opposition. And ultimately, it's the destiny key that unlocks your future.
And that leaves us with this final, powerful thought. Prayer is the master key. It allows you to operate not as a slave begging for scraps, but as a son or daughter walking in their rightful inheritance. So the real question is, if you hold this incredible privilege of authority, are you exercising it?
If this explainer gave you a totally new perspective on prayer, just imagine what other ideas are out there waiting to be unlocked. For more breakdowns that turn complex theory into explosive growth, make sure you subscribe to Atomic Reviews. Thanks for hanging out with us.